October 10th, 1999. Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Michael Irvin runs a route over the middle, catches the pass, and gets hit hard. He goes down and doesn't get up. The crowd, notorious for booing injured players, falls silent because something is clearly, terribly wrong. Irvin's hands are tingling. His arms feel numb. He knows immediately, this is it. At 33 years old, still playing at an elite level, still catching passes, still dominating defenses, Michael Irvin's career ends in an instant. One hit, one wrong angle. And the doctors would later tell him the brutal truth. If you play again, one more hit could paralyze you for life. This is the story of the Playmaker, the most competitive, intense, clutch receiver of the 1990s, a man who helped build a dynasty and walked away with 3 Super Bowl rings. But his ending came far too soon. Michael Irvin entered the NFL in 1988 as the 11th overall pick by the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys were a disaster at that point, coming off multiple losing seasons. The franchise was in complete rebuild mode. They had just hired Jimmy Johnson as head coach, a man who would transform the entire organization. In Michael Irvin, Johnson saw something special, not just talent. Irvin had that in abundance from his days at the University of Miami. Johnson saw a player who refused to lose, who brought an intensity and fire that was almost frightening. Irvin's rookie season was modest. He had 32 catches, 654 yards, and 5 touchdowns. But everyone who watched him practice knew something bigger was coming. This wasn't just a good receiver. This was a man who attacked every single snap like his life depended on it. The next year, 1989, the Cowboys drafted Troy Aikman first overall. Aikman was a quarterback and Michael Irvin was a receiver. The foundation of what would become one of the greatest offenses in NFL history was taking shape, but it did not happen overnight. The Cowboys went 1-15 in 1989. They were still terrible. Irvin's stats were modest again, 26 catches and 378 yards. But the chemistry with Aikman was developing. The timing, the trust, the connection between a quarterback and his number one receiver was being built through repetition, through failure, through a shared determination to turn this franchise around. And in 1990, the Cowboys added the final piece, Emmitt Smith, a running back out of Florida. The Triplets were born, Aikman, Smith, Irvin, and the NFL was about to find out what happens when 3 Hall of Famers enter their primes at the exact same time. 1991 was the breakout. Michael Irvin exploded for 93 catches, 1,523 yards, and 8 touchdowns. It was his first 1,000-yard season. It was his first Pro Bowl. The Cowboys went 11-5 and made the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. Irvin had become the Playmaker, a nickname that was not just about making big plays, though he did that constantly. It was about wanting the ball in the biggest moments. 3rd and long, throw it to Michael. 4th quarter, game on the line, throw it to Michael. He did not just accept that pressure, he demanded it. Irvin said every play he wanted the ball. He did not care if it was 1st and 10 or 4th and 1. That mentality, that hunger, that refusal to ever be satisfied, it infected the entire Cowboys offense. Aikman knew he could trust Irvin. Emmitt Smith knew that when defenses focused on stopping the run, Irvin would torch them. The machine was starting to hum. Then came 1992. The Cowboys went 13-3, won the NFC East, and steamrolled through the playoffs. Irvin finished with 78 catches and 1,396 yards. But it was the postseason where legends are made. Super Bowl 27 against the Buffalo Bills in the Rose Bowl. The Cowboys destroyed them 52-17, and Michael Irvin was dominant. He had 6 catches, 114 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He torched the Bills' secondary,
ran perfect routes, caught everything thrown his way, and celebrated with a swagger that announced to the world, we are here, we are champions, and we are not going anywhere. At 26 years old, Michael Irvin had his first Super Bowl ring. But one was not enough. The Cowboys repeated in 1993. Another dominant regular season, another march through the playoffs. Super Bowl 28, once again against the Buffalo Bills. This time, the final score was 30-13, a slightly less embarrassing beatdown for Buffalo, but a beatdown nonetheless. Michael Irvin had 6 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown. Back-to-back championships. The Cowboys Dynasty was cemented, and Michael Irvin was right in the center of it. He was not just a great receiver. He was the emotional leader of that offense. The guy who set the tone in practice, who pushed Troy Aikman to be better, who competed with his own teammates as hard as he competed with opponents. Deion Sanders, who would later join the Cowboys, famously said that practicing against Michael Irvin was harder than playing in games because Irvin never, ever took a playoff. But 1995 was when Michael Irvin reached his absolute peak, 111 catches. Let that number sink in. In an era before the pass-happy rule changes of the 2000s, Michael Irvin caught 111 passes, leading the entire NFL. He also racked up 1,603 yards, second in the league, and 10 touchdowns. He was named first-team All-Pro, his 5th consecutive Pro Bowl, and he was simply unstoppable. Cornerbacks couldn't cover him one-on-one. If they double-teamed him, Emmitt Smith would run for 150 yards. If they stacked the box to stop Emmitt, Irvin would catch 10 balls for 140 yards. The Cowboys' offense in 1995 was a nightmare for defenses, and Michael Irvin was the reason why. That was the year everything clicked, Irvin said. He said he was unstoppable, and he was right. The Cowboys marched through the playoffs and reached Super Bowl 30 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. This game was tighter than the previous two, a hard-fought 27-17 victory. Michael Irvin had 5 catches for 76 yards, and when the final whistle blew, he had his 3rd Super Bowl ring in 4 years. 3 championships, 3 times standing on that podium holding the Lombardi Trophy. At 29 years old, Michael Irvin had accomplished more than most players dream of in an entire career. He had defined an era. The 1990s Cowboys Dynasty was not just about one player, but if you had to pick the heartbeat, the emotional core, the guy who made everyone else believe they were unstoppable, it was Michael Irvin. Irvin said, Troy threw it, Emmitt ran it, I caught it, and we won Super Bowls. That was the formula. And for 4 years, it was perfect. But dynasties do not last forever. The Cowboys did not win another Super Bowl after 1995. They remained competitive, making the playoffs year after year, but the magic was fading. Jimmy Johnson was gone, replaced by Barry Switzer. The roster was aging. The league was catching up, but Michael Irvin kept playing at an elite level. In 1996, he had 64 catches and 962 yards. In 1997, he had 75 catches and 1,180 yards. In 1998, at 32 years old, he posted his 7th consecutive 1,000-yard season, catching 89 passes for 1,057 yards. 7 straight years, over 1,000 yards. 7 straight years of Pro Bowl caliber football. The Cowboys were not winning Super Bowls anymore, but Michael Irvin was still the playmaker, still demanding the ball, still making defenses pay. And then came 1999. The season started normally enough. 4 games in, Irvin had 27 catches for 217 yards. He was still productive, still contributing, still competing at 33 years old. And then came that game in Philadelphia on October 10th. A pass over the middle, a hit that happens dozens of times in every NFL game. Except this time, something went horribly wrong. Michael Irvin's neck absorbed the impact at just the wrong angle, and he went down in a heap. His teammates immediately knew something was wrong, the way he wasn't moving, the way his hands were shaking. The medical staff rushed onto the field and carefully, slowly placed him on a stretcher. The crowd, known for being brutal, went silent. Even Philadelphia fans, who hated the Cowboys with a passion, knew this was serious. Michael Irvin was carted off the field, and he never played another down of football. The diagnosis was devastating. A cervical spinal cord injury. The kind of injury that ends careers immediately. The doctors were blunt. If you play again, one more hit to that area could leave you paralyzed for life, unable to walk, unable to move. One hit. That was all it would take. For a player like Michael Irvin, who had built his entire identity on toughness, on competing, on never backing down, it was the cruelest possible ending. He wasn't declining. He wasn't washed up. He still had football left in him. But the risk was too great. Walking away from football didn't hurt, Irvin said later. Not being able to play hurt. At 33 years old, Michael Irvin's career was over. He officially announced his retirement in 2000, walking away with a career that spoke for itself. 750 catches, 11,904 receiving yards, 65 touchdowns, 7 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, 5 Pro Bowls, 1 first-team All-Pro selection, and 3 Super Bowl rings. But the numbers do not capture what Michael Irvin meant to the Cowboys Dynasty. He was the fire. He was the intensity. He was the guy who made Troy Aikman better by demanding perfection. He was the guy who made Emmitt Smith better by taking the pressure off the run game. He was the guy who walked into every stadium in America and made opponents believe they were going to lose before the game even started. Irvin said they were inevitable. That confidence, that swagger, that absolute refusal to accept anything less than victory, that was Michael Irvin. In 2007, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first ballot. Standing on that stage in Canton, Ohio, Michael Irvin reflected on a career that had been cut short, but was still complete. 3 Super Bowl rings, Hall of Fame, one of the greatest receivers of his generation. But there was also a sense of what might have been. What if that injury had never happened? What if he had played until 35, 36, 37? How many more yards? How many more touchdowns? How many more moments of brilliance? We will never know. And that is the tragedy of Michael Irvin's story. Not that he did not accomplish enough. He accomplished everything. But that he had more to give, and the game took it away from him before he was ready to let go. Michael Irvin did not just catch passes. He attacked the football. He attacked defenses. He attacked every single practice rep like it was the Super Bowl. And for 4 years in the 1990s, he and the Dallas Cowboys were the best team in football. 3 championships in 4 years. A dynasty built on talent, on coaching, on Emmitt Smith's legs and Troy Aikman's arm and Michael Irvin's hands. The Playmaker was not just a nickname, it was a responsibility. And for 12 seasons, Michael Irvin carried that responsibility with a fire and passion that changed what it meant to play wide receiver in the NFL. His career ended too soon, but his legacy will last forever.